Citizens of Africa, brothers and sisters of the continent, today I want you to listen closely and open your hearts. What I am about to share with you is not just a speech, nor a mere dream. It is a decisive moment, a crossroads for our continent. A moment when history seems to look us straight in the eyes and say, it's now or never. Look around you. For decades, our Africa has been the stage of broken promises, of plundered resources, of wealth flying to other continents while our people survive in poverty. We have talented, creative youth capable of competing with any nation in the world. But what happens? These young people are often forced to leave, to seek a better life elsewhere, as if the land that saw them born was incapable of feeding them and giving them a future. That is why the idea of a single African currency, the Afro money, is so powerful. It is not just a bill or a coin, it is a symbol. It is a promise engraved in metal and printed on paper, a promise that our continent can finally rise and walk on its own two legs without foreign crutches. Imagine for a moment. A single bill valid from Cairo to Johannesburg, from Dakar to Nairobi. A currency that truly belongs to us, not tied to the CFA franc, not dependent on the World Bank, not dictated by the economic policies of other continents. This currency would be our voice in the world. But let's be honest with ourselves. Creating this currency will not happen overnight. This project requires more than words. It requires strong political will, mutual trust between our nations, and an economic discipline that many never believed possible for Africa. Even Europe, with its rich countries and developed economies, struggled to create the euro, and yet they did it. So why not us? Yes, our economies are unequal. Yes, some countries are rich in oil and gold, while others are still struggling to bring electricity to their villages. But if we never start, if we never dare to take the leap, we will remain forever dependent on others. The Afro money is not just a currency, it is a declaration. It is a cry shouted to the entire world. We are ready to write our own destiny. On social media, you may have seen these images, prototypes of bills bearing the faces of Thomas Sankara, Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba. Heroes who, each in their own era, dreamed of what we are preparing today. The idea that these faces appear on a common currency is not trivial. It is a way of saying, we have not forgotten. We are continuing the fight. For Captain Ibrahim Traoré, this project is self-evident. From day one, he has repeated that Africa must free itself from all dependencies. If we want to produce our food, manufacture our medicines, defend our borders, and manage our own resources, then we must also control our finances. Without monetary independence, all other battles remain fragile. So I ask you, those who are listening to me, are you ready to see this currency born? Are you ready to use it, defend it, and make it the foundation of our future prosperity? Because this battle will not only be political, it will also be psychological. We will have to believe in our value, in our ability to trust our own system. What you hear today is not a utopia. It is the first step toward an Africa that decides for itself. And this first step begins here, with us, with this simple but powerful idea. One continent, one currency, one voice. African brothers and sisters. If the first step is to believe in ourselves, the second step is to reclaim what belongs to us. I am talking about our natural resources, our gold, our oil, our cotton, our uranium. All these resources that, for decades, have left our ports loaded on foreign ships to fuel distant economies while our people remain in need. I say it clearly, this era must come to an end. You have all heard about what recently happened in Burkina Faso. In the silence of the night, without drums or trumpets, historic decisions were made. Gold mines were nationalized, unfair contracts were terminated, and multinationals that believed they had eternal control over our resources had to understand that the time of a weak and docile Africa is over. Captain Ibrahim Traoré did not act out of pride. He acted out of necessity, because every gold bar that leaves our soil without enriching our people is a betrayal to our ancestors and a theft of our children's future. Let us face reality. Our wealth leaves this land, But what do we get in return? A few taxes, wages for a minority of local workers, and above all, empty promises. Meanwhile, schools lack benches, hospitals lack medicines, and our roads are often impassable during the rainy season. This is the disguised colonial system that we are breaking. And to break it completely, we must not only control our resources, but also decide how they finance our development. That is where the idea of the Afro money takes its full meaning. Imagine for a moment, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and tomorrow other West African nations selling their gold, their oil, and their uranium. In Afro money, no longer in dollars, nor in euros, nor in CFA francs. Each transaction would become an economic victory. Each sale of our resources would strengthen our own currency. We would no longer be spectators of our wealth. We would be the architects of our destiny. Of course, this path will not be easy. There will be international pressures, sanctions, threats disguised under diplomatic speeches. Some foreign media will describe us as reckless rebels, as if they wanted to shame us for simply wanting to live with dignity. But I tell you from the heart, if we do not resist today, we will be slaves tomorrow. That is why every citizen, every worker, every young person must understand that this revolution is not only made at the top of the state, it also happens in our minds. We must believe that we can produce what we consume, process what we cultivate, and export what we have decided ourselves on our own terms. This second part of our struggle is crucial. Without economic sovereignty, our political independence remains a fragile illusion. But if we succeed in this stage, then our African currency will not only be a symbol, it will become the beating heart of a free Africa, proud of its land, its resources, and its people. Look at the path we have traveled in such a short time. Just yesterday, they said Africa could not free itself. Today, flags rise, agreements are signed, and entire nations are reclaiming control of their future. And what we have started in Ouagadougou, in Bamako, in Niamey, is only the beginning of a continental movement that will not stop. Brothers and sisters, we are reaching the last stage of our struggle. After believing in ourselves, after reclaiming our wealth, only one thing remains: to defend our freedom to the end. I am not only speaking of political freedom, I am speaking of the freedom to live with dignity, the freedom to produce without dependency, the freedom to feed our children with our own harvests, the freedom to decide our future without asking anyone's permission. Look around you. Look at the history of our ancestors. They resisted colonization with arrows and courage, facing empires that thought we were already defeated. Today, our fight is different, but the principle remains the same: to refuse to bow before injustice. Our weapons today are no longer guns. Our weapons are our unity, our intelligence, and our control over the African economy. Every time a young African chooses to learn a trade, to start a business, to process what comes from his land instead of exporting it raw, he becomes a soldier of our independence. Every time a country decides to sell its gold or oil, outside the traditional circuits imposed by the West, it becomes a shield for all of Africa. And every time a people refuse to give in to fear and support their leaders in the choice of sovereignty, they send a message to the whole world: Africa is rising and nothing will stop it. Yes, there will be trials. Yes, some will try to push us back. They will try to make us doubt ourselves, to make us believe that we are not ready, that we need their advice, their loans, or their strategic partnerships. But always remember, everything we ever received from them came with a price, and that price was our freedom. Today we have decided that this time is over. We have decided to walk the path of dignity, even if this path is difficult, even if this path requires sacrifices. And I tell you from the bottom of my heart, every sacrifice we make today will be a victory for our children tomorrow. Let us imagine together this future. African ports where our processed products are exported to the whole world. African factories that produce our own medicines, our own vehicles, our own technologies. African fields that feed our population and make our continent the granary of the planet. Imagine an African youth no longer forced to leave, no longer risking their lives in hostile oceans, but staying here proud to build a dignified life on the land of their ancestors. This is the future we must create, not tomorrow, but starting today. So I call on you, those who are listening to me. Never doubt our strength. Never doubt our right to freedom. Never doubt that Africa, united and determined, can shake the entire world. Rise in your hearts. Believe in yourselves, in your families, in your nations. And above all, remember, no one will come to free Africa in our place. It is up to us to take our destiny into our own hands, to write our own history, and to show the world that free Africa is finally born.